My girlfriend's family invaded my apartment while I was away for work, then she acted like I was the villain when I kicked them out, but the real betrayal came later when I discovered what they actually stole from me. I need to get this off my chest because I'm getting torn apart by everyone around me and I'm starting to question if I'm going crazy. My girlfriend Samantha, 28F, and I, 31M, have been together for 3 years. We don't live together but we have keys to each other's places. We've always had this understanding that if either of us wants to visit the other's apartment, we send a quick text first. Not asking for permission, just a heads up. Something like, hey, stopping by after work or coming over tonight. It's basic courtesy and we've never had any issues with it. I work in software development and my company sent me to Denver for a month-long certification program. This was a big deal for my career and I was looking forward to it. Samantha knew about this trip for weeks. She helped me pack and dropped me off at the airport. The program was supposed to run from Monday to Friday for 4 weeks straight. 3 days into the program, I got a call from my manager. The lead instructor had a heart attack and was hospitalized. They were canceling the entire program and rebooking everyone for later in the year. The company arranged flights home for all of us. I landed back in my city on Thursday morning around 10 a.m. I texted Samantha right after I landed. I told her the program got canceled and I was back in town. She replied with something like, "Oh wow, that's crazy, hope you're doing okay." Normal response. I figured I'd surprise her later that evening. I took a cab home from the airport. As I was walking up to my apartment door, I heard children screaming and laughing inside. Loud, high-pitched voices that definitely belonged to little kids. This made no sense. Samantha doesn't have kids. My brother, who is my spare key, lives 2 states away and doesn't have young children either. My first thought was that someone had broken in. I stood outside my door for a minute trying to figure out what was happening. The sounds were getting louder. I could hear water splashing and what sounded like a TV turned up really loud. I unlocked my door and walked into what looked like a hurricane had hit my living room. There was a wet, naked toddler running around dripping water everywhere. My couch cushions were on the floor. There were empty pizza boxes stacked on my coffee table. Clothes were scattered across my dining room chairs. Someone had pulled out my old gaming console from the closet and there were wires everywhere. A man I'd never seen before was sitting on my couch holding a game controller. He looked up at me like I was the one who didn't belong there. Behind him, a woman was chasing the wet toddler with a towel. 2 older kids, maybe 7 and 10, were sitting at my kitchen table eating cereal directly from the box. I asked the man who he was and what he was doing in my apartment. He said he was Samantha's brother-in-law Mike, 35M, and that Samantha had given them permission to stay here while I was away. He said they were visiting from Phoenix with their kids for 2 weeks and Samantha told them they could use my place since I was out of town. While we were talking, I got a text from Samantha. She wrote something like, "Oh, by the way, my sister's family is staying at your place for a bit. Hope that's okay." I stared at that text for probably 30 seconds. She had known I was back in town for hours. She could have warned me or given me a heads up. Instead, she waited until I was standing in my destroyed living room to mention it casually. I told Mike and his wife Lisa, 32F, that they needed to pack up and leave. Mike said they had nowhere else to go and that Samantha had promised them 2 weeks. Lisa came over from the kitchen and said they had already paid for activities for their kids and couldn't afford a hotel. I explained that Samantha had no right to offer my apartment to anyone without asking me first. I said I understood they were in a tough spot, but this was my home and I hadn't agreed to any of this. Lisa called Samantha and put her on speakerphone. Samantha immediately started talking about how embarrassing this was for her and how I was making her look bad in front of her family. She said she had told them they could stay and that I was being unreasonable. She kept saying I was causing drama over nothing. I took the phone and told Samantha this wasn't nothing. I explained that our agreement was to text before visiting, and that giving someone else permission to live in my apartment for 2 weeks was completely different. Samantha said I was being selfish and that family comes first. The conversation got heated. Samantha's sister and her husband started arguing with me about ruining their vacation. The kids were crying because they could tell the adults were fighting. Lisa started packing their stuff, but she was slamming things around and making comments about how rude I was being. I called my brother Tom, 28M, who lives across town. I asked him to come over and help me handle the situation. I also told Mike and Lisa that if they weren't packed and gone within an hour, I would call the police. That got their attention. They started packing faster, but they were angry. Lisa kept making comments about how Samantha deserved better than someone who would kick out a family with children. Mike said I was pathetic for calling my brother for backup. They finally left around 2 p.m. As they were walking out, Lisa told her kids that mommy's sister's boyfriend was mean and that's why their vacation was ruined. The kids looked at me like I was some kind of monster. Tom arrived just as they were leaving. He helped me clean up the mess they had left behind. There were wet towels thrown around my bathroom, dirty dishes in my sink, and someone had used my expensive face wash as bubble bath. My gaming console was still hooked up wrong and I had to spend an hour fixing the wiring. Samantha called me that evening screaming about how I had humiliated her family. She said her parents were furious with me and that I had ruined her relationship with her sister. She kept asking how I could be so heartless to children. I tried to explain again that this wasn't about the children or her family. It was about her giving away access to my private space without my permission. I said she had crossed a major boundary and that I felt like my home had been invaded. Samantha said I was being dramatic and that couples should be able to make decisions like this for each other. She said if the situation was reversed, she would have been fine with it. I told her that wasn't true because I would never put her in that situation. I would never give someone else her apartment key without asking first. Samantha said that was different because I don't have family who might need help. This is where I need to mention something important. Samantha's family has a history of taking advantage of people. Her parents have borrowed money from her multiple times and never paid it back. Her sister Lisa has a pattern of showing up unannounced and expecting people to drop everything to help her. Last year, Lisa stayed with Samantha for 3 weeks after a fight with her husband and Samantha complained about it constantly. I know Samantha's family situation is complicated. Her parents got divorced when she was young and there was a lot of financial instability. Samantha has always felt responsible for taking care of everyone else. But I've also seen how they take advantage of her generosity. The thing that bothers me most is that Samantha knew I would say no if she asked. That's why she didn't ask. She made the decision for me and then acted like I was being unreasonable for objecting. We've been fighting about this for a week now. Samantha won't acknowledge that she was wrong. She keeps saying I embarrassed her and that I don't understand family loyalty. Her parents have called me selfish. Her sister has blocked me on social media. Some of my friends are taking Samantha's side. They say I should have just stayed at Samantha's place for a few days and let her family finish their vacation. They think I was being petty and that kicking out a family with kids was cruel. But I keep coming back to the fact that this is my home. I pay the rent. I didn't agree to share it with anyone. Samantha had no right to make that decision without talking to me first. I'm starting to wonder if I overreacted. Maybe I should have handled it differently. But I also feel like if I let this slide, Samantha will think she can make decisions about my life without including me. Am I wrong here? Did I handle this badly? I really need some outside perspective because everyone in my life seems to think I'm the villain in this situation. Update 1: A lot has happened since my original post. Thank you to everyone who responded. Reading your comments helped me realize I wasn't going crazy. The situation with Samantha got worse before it got better. She continued to refuse to apologize or even acknowledge that she had done anything wrong. Every conversation we tried to have turned into her accusing me of being selfish and not caring about her family. 2 weeks after the incident, I noticed something strange. I keep my prescription medications in a specific spot in my bathroom cabinet. I'm very organized about this because I take medication for anxiety and I need to keep track of when I refill prescriptions. When I went to take my evening medication, I realized the bottles weren't in their usual order. I always line them up alphabetically, but they were mixed up. I thought maybe I had been distracted and put them back wrong. Then I noticed that one of my bottles felt lighter than it should. I counted the pills and realized that about 8 tablets were missing from a bottle I had just picked up from the pharmacy before my trip to Denver. These weren't pain medication or anything people typically steal. They were for my anxiety and wouldn't get anyone high. But they were definitely gone. I called Samantha and asked her if her sister's family had gone through my bathroom cabinet. Samantha immediately got defensive and asked why I was accusing her family of stealing. I explained about the missing medication and that I was just trying to figure out what happened. Samantha said I was being paranoid and that maybe I had miscounted. She suggested that I was looking for reasons to make her family look bad. When I pressed the issue, she hung up on me. I decided to call Lisa directly. I got her number from Samantha's phone when she wasn't looking. Lisa answered and I explained the situation calmly. I told her I wasn't accusing anyone of anything, but that I needed to know if anyone had gone through my medicine cabinet. Lisa got very quiet for a moment. Then she said that one of her kids had gotten into my bathroom and might have been playing with pill bottles. She said kids do things like that and that I shouldn't make a big deal out of it. I asked her which child and what exactly happened. Lisa's story started changing. First she said it was her youngest who was 3. Then she said it might have been her 7-year-old. Then she said she wasn't sure which kid it was but that kids explore when they're in new places. Something about Lisa's tone made me realize she was lying. I asked her directly if she or Mike had taken my medication. Lisa got angry and said she couldn't believe I was accusing them of stealing pills. She said they weren't drug addicts and that I was being ridiculous. After I hung up with Lisa, I called my doctor's office. I explained what happened and asked about reporting stolen medication. The nurse told me I should file a police report and that I could get an early refill if I had documentation from the police. I went to the police station the next day. The officer who took my report was professional, but I could tell he thought this was a waste of time. He asked me several times if I was sure about the pill count and whether I had any proof that someone else had taken them. I didn't have proof. I just knew that pills were missing and that strangers had been in my apartment for 3 days. The officer said they would file the report, but that without evidence, there wasn't much they could investigate. When I told Samantha about filing the police report, she lost her mind. She started screaming at me over the phone about how I was trying to get her family arrested. She said I was being vindictive and trying to destroy her relationships. Samantha's parents called me that same day. Her father said I was out of line for involving the police and that I was trying to cause trouble for no reason. Her mother said I should be ashamed of myself for accusing their daughter and grandchildren of being thieves. The whole thing became a huge mess. Samantha's family started attacking me on social media. Lisa posted something about how some people will do anything to make others look bad. Samantha's mother shared an article about false accusations and how they ruin lives. I showed the police report to my doctor and got an early refill on my prescription. The pharmacy had to make a note in my file about the stolen medication. The whole process was embarrassing and made me feel like I was being treated like a drug seeker. Meanwhile, Samantha and I weren't talking at all. She had blocked my number and refused to see me in person. I tried going to her apartment, but she wouldn't answer the door. I was starting to think maybe I had overreacted about everything. Maybe I should have just let her family finish their stay and dealt with it later. The stress of fighting with everyone was affecting my work and my sleep. Then something unexpected happened. Lisa called me last week. She sounded different from our previous conversation. Less defensive and more tired. Lisa said she needed to tell me something and that she hoped I would listen. She said that when Samantha first offered my apartment, she had told them that she had already talked to me about it and that I was okay with them staying there. Lisa said Samantha had been very specific about the dates and had even given them details about where to find things in my apartment. According to Lisa, Samantha had told them I was happy to help out family and that I had said they could use anything they needed while they were staying there. Lisa said if they had known I didn't agree to any of this, they never would have come. Lisa said that when I showed up and demanded they leave, they thought I was being petty and trying to get back at Samantha for something unrelated. She said that's why Mike and the kids were so angry. They thought I was using them as pawns in a relationship fight. This conversation changed everything for me. It meant that Samantha hadn't just made a mistake or acted impulsively. She had planned this lie for weeks. She had given her sister detailed information about my apartment and my schedule. She had made up stories about me agreeing to help. I asked Lisa about the missing medication. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said that she and Mike hadn't taken anything, but that she couldn't speak for everyone who had been in my apartment. She said Samantha had visited them twice while they were staying there and had spent time alone in different parts of my apartment. I asked Lisa why she was telling me this now. She said that after the police report, her family had started questioning what really happened. She said Samantha's story about me agreeing to let them stay had never made complete sense to her parents. Lisa said Samantha's mother had asked her directly if Samantha had lied about getting my permission. When Lisa told her what Samantha had actually said, it became clear that Samantha had deceived everyone. According to Lisa, Samantha's family was now questioning everything Samantha had told them about me and about our relationship. They were starting to realize that Samantha might have manipulated the entire situation. Lisa apologized for the way they had treated me and for the mess they had made in my apartment. She said she understood why I had been angry and that she would have reacted the same way if someone had lied to her like that. After talking to Lisa, I tried calling Samantha one more time. I wanted to give her a chance to explain herself and to apologize. I thought maybe we could work through this if she was honest about what she had done. Samantha answered the phone, but she immediately started yelling at me. She said I had turned her family against her and that I had ruined everything. She accused me of manipulating Lisa into calling me and said I would do anything to make myself look like the victim. I tried to tell Samantha what Lisa had told me, but she wouldn't listen. She kept interrupting me and saying that I was lying. When I asked her directly if she had told her family that I had agreed to let them stay, she said it didn't matter because I should have been okay with it anyway. That's when I realized that Samantha wasn't going to admit what she had done. She wasn't going to apologize or take responsibility. She genuinely believed that she had done nothing wrong and that I was the problem. I told Samantha that I couldn't be in a relationship with someone who would lie to me and to her own family like this. I said that trust was the foundation of any relationship and that she had destroyed the trust completely. Samantha's response was to laugh at me. She said I was being dramatic and that if I couldn't handle real life, I should find someone else. She said she didn't need someone who would choose strangers over her family. I hung up on her and I haven't spoken to her since. That was 5 days ago. I keep waiting for her to call and apologize, but I don't think it's going to happen. My friends who originally took Samantha's side have been reaching out to me. Word has gotten around about what really happened and people are starting to understand why I was so upset. A few people have apologized for judging me too quickly. I still don't know who took my medication. It could have been Lisa or Mike, or it could have been Samantha. I'll probably never know for sure. But at least now I know the truth about what happened with my apartment. I'm trying to move forward, but it's hard. I keep thinking about all the times Samantha might have lied to me about other things. I'm questioning our entire relationship and wondering how well I really knew her. For now, I'm just focusing on getting back to normal. I changed my locks and I'm being more careful about who I give my spare key to. I'm also looking into getting a security camera for my apartment. I know some people think I should try to work things out with Samantha, but I don't see how we can come back from this. She showed me who she really is, and I believe her. Update 2: I wanted to update everyone on what's been happening since my last post. Things have gotten more complicated but also clearer in some ways. About 3 weeks after my last update, I got a call from Samantha's mother, Patricia, 55F. This was surprising because Patricia had been one of the people attacking me on social media after the police report incident. Patricia asked if we could meet for coffee. She said she had some things she wanted to discuss with me and that she hoped I would give her a chance to explain some things. I wasn't sure if I wanted to meet with her, but I was curious about what she wanted to say. We met at a coffee shop near my work on a Saturday morning. Patricia looked tired and older than when I had seen her last. She started by apologizing for the way she and her husband had treated me. She said they had only heard Samantha's version of events and that they now realized there was more to the story. According to Patricia, Samantha's family had started asking more questions after Lisa told them about Samantha's lies. Patricia said she had always known that Samantha tended to bend the truth when it served her purposes, but she hadn't realized how serious this situation was. Patricia told me something that explained a lot about Samantha's behavior. She said that when Samantha was in college, she had gotten caught in several major lies with her roommates and had ended up having to move back home because nobody wanted to live with her anymore. One of the incidents involved Samantha telling her roommates that she had gotten permission from their landlord to have people stay in their apartment for a week. The roommates came home to find strangers living there and had to involve the college housing office to get them removed. Patricia said there had been other incidents over the years where Samantha had made decisions for other people without their knowledge and then acted like she was the victim when things went wrong. She said the family had hoped Samantha had grown out of this behavior, but recent events showed that she hadn't. Patricia also told me about the medication issue. She said that after I filed the police report, the family had done their own investigation. They had asked everyone who had been in my apartment to be honest about what they had done there. According to Patricia, Mike and Lisa both swore they hadn't touched any medication. The children were too young to have opened pill bottles on their own. But Samantha had been at my apartment twice during the week her family was staying there. Patricia said that when they confronted Samantha about the missing pills, Samantha had gotten defensive and angry. She had accused them of taking my side and said they were all turning against her for no reason. But then Samantha had let something slip. She had said that I was probably lying about the missing medication anyway and that I was just trying to make her family look bad. But then she had mentioned that the pills probably wouldn't have done anything anyway because they were just for anxiety. Patricia said this was suspicious because Samantha had no way of knowing what kind of medication was missing unless she had seen the bottles herself. I had never told anyone in her family what specific medication was involved. When Patricia pointed this out to Samantha, Samantha had gotten even more upset and had stormed out of the house. She had later sent a text saying that her family was toxic and that she was cutting contact with all of them. Patricia said Samantha had blocked her parents, her sister, and most of her extended family on social media. She had also moved out of her apartment and nobody knew where she was living now. This conversation with Patricia answered a lot of questions for me, but it also raised new ones. I asked Patricia why she was telling me all of this. Patricia said she felt responsible for what had happened. She said she had raised Samantha to believe that family always comes first and that you should do whatever it takes to help family members. She said she now realized that this had taught Samantha to manipulate people in situations to get what she wanted. Patricia also said that she was worried about Samantha. She said Samantha had always had problems with relationships and friendships, but this was the first time she had cut off her entire family. She asked if I knew where Samantha was or if I had heard from her. I told Patricia that I hadn't spoken to Samantha since our last phone call. I said I was sorry that their family was going through this, but that I couldn't help with finding Samantha or fixing their relationship. Patricia said she understood and that she wasn't asking me to get involved. She said she just wanted me to know the truth about what had happened and to apologize for the way her family had treated me. Before we parted ways, Patricia gave me some advice. She said that if Samantha ever tried to contact me again, I should be very careful. She said Samantha had a pattern of disappearing when things got difficult and then coming back later acting like nothing had happened. Patricia said Samantha would probably try to make it seem like our breakup was a misunderstanding or that she had been going through a difficult time. She warned me that Samantha was very good at making people feel guilty and that she would probably try to make me feel responsible for the problems in her family. A few weeks after meeting with Patricia, I did hear from Samantha. She sent me a long text message at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday night. The message was rambling and confusing, but the basic theme was that she missed me and wanted to talk. Samantha said she had been doing a lot of thinking and that she realized she had made some mistakes. She said she had been under a lot of stress with her family situation and that she hadn't been thinking clearly. The text message went on to say that she had learned from this experience and that she wanted to try again. She said she loved me and that she believed we could work through anything if we were both committed to the relationship. Samantha also said that her family had been pressuring her to make decisions she wasn't comfortable with and that she had felt trapped between her loyalty to them and her loyalty to me. She said she should have handled things differently but that she hoped I could forgive her. I read the text message several times. Some of it sounded sincere, but I kept thinking about what Patricia had told me. I could see how Samantha was trying to make it sound like the apartment situation was just a mistake and that family pressure was to blame. But Samantha's text didn't acknowledge the lies she had told. She didn't apologize for giving away access to my apartment without permission. She didn't mention the missing medication or the way she had treated me during our fights. I showed the text to my brother Tom, who has been supportive throughout this whole situation. Tom pointed out that Samantha was doing exactly what Patricia had warned me about. She was minimizing what she had done and trying to make it seem like the relationship problems were caused by external factors. Tom also noted that Samantha had said she was cutting contact with her family, but now she was blaming them for pressuring her into making bad decisions. He said this was another example of Samantha changing her story to fit whatever narrative would get her what she wanted. I decided not to respond to Samantha's text message. I wanted to see if she would follow up or if this was just a one-time attempt to get back together. 3 days later, Samantha sent another text. This one was shorter and more direct. She said she needed to get some of her things from my apartment and asked when would be a good time to come over. This caught me off guard because I had already returned all of Samantha's belongings weeks ago. I had packed everything up and dropped it off at her old apartment, leaving it with her neighbor when Samantha wouldn't answer the door. I texted back and told Samantha that I had already returned her things. Samantha replied that there were other items she had left at my place that I must have missed. She said she needed to come look for them herself. I knew this was just an excuse to see me in person. I told Samantha that if there were specific items she was looking for, she could tell me what they were and I would look for them. I said I wasn't comfortable with her coming to my apartment. Samantha's response was angry. She said I was being controlling and that she had a right to get her belongings. She said she would come over whether I wanted her to or not because she still had things that belonged to her. I reminded Samantha that I had changed my locks and that she no longer had access to my apartment. I said that if she showed up without permission, I would call the police. Samantha sent back a long series of text messages calling me paranoid and cruel. She said I was treating her like a criminal and that she couldn't believe I would threaten to have her arrested. She said this proved that I had never really loved her and that I was just looking for excuses to hurt her. I didn't respond to these messages. I had learned that engaging with Samantha when she was in this mood only made things worse. The next day, Samantha sent one final text. She said she was sorry for bothering me and that she would leave me alone. She said she hoped I would be happy and that maybe someday I would understand why she had acted the way she did. I haven't heard from Samantha since then. That was about 6 weeks ago. I've been checking my apartment more carefully when I come home, just in case she tries to show up anyway, but so far she has stayed away. Patricia texted me a few weeks ago to let me know that Samantha had reached out to her family again. Apparently Samantha had asked her parents for money and had tried to move back in with them temporarily. Patricia said they had refused and that Samantha had gotten angry and blocked them again. I'm grateful for the closure that talking to Patricia provided. It helped me understand that Samantha's behavior wasn't really about me or our relationship. She has a pattern of manipulating people and situations to get what she wants, and I just happened to be her target this time. I'm doing better now. I've started dating again and I'm being more careful about red flags in relationships. I've also kept the security camera I installed in my apartment. It makes me feel more secure knowing that I have a record of who comes and goes. I know some people might think I should have given Samantha another chance, especially since she seemed sorry in her text messages. But I learned from this experience that apologies don't mean much if the person isn't willing to take responsibility for their actions. Samantha never admitted that she had lied to her family about getting my permission. She never acknowledged that she had invaded my privacy and my space. She never explained why my medication went missing or offered to make up for the cost and hassle of dealing with that situation. Instead, she tried to make it seem like everything was a misunderstanding and that we could just move past it if I was willing to forgive and forget. But some things can't be forgiven without real accountability, and Samantha wasn't willing to provide that. I'm glad I trusted my instincts and didn't let her back into my life. Based on what Patricia told me about Samantha's history, I think this would have happened again eventually. It was better to end things now than to wait for the next crisis. Update 3. I wasn't planning to post another update, but something happened recently that I think closes this chapter completely. Last month, I got a call from someone I didn't recognize. The caller ID showed a local number, but when I answered, it was a woman who said she was calling about Samantha. She introduced herself as Rachel, 26F, and said she had gotten my number from Samantha's phone. Rachel said she was Samantha's roommate and that Samantha had been living with her for the past few months. She said Samantha had told her a lot about our relationship and about what had happened between us. I was confused about why this person was calling me. I told Rachel that Samantha and I had broken up months ago and that I didn't want to get involved in whatever was happening in Samantha's life now. Rachel said she understood, but that she needed to warn me about something. She said Samantha had been talking about me constantly since moving in with her. According to Rachel, Samantha had been obsessing over our relationship and had been trying to find ways to contact me. Rachel said Samantha had been driving by my apartment regularly and had been asking mutual friends about what I was doing and who I was dating. She said Samantha had also been looking through my social media accounts and had been screenshotting pictures of me with other people. This information was disturbing but not completely surprising. I had noticed a few strange things over the past couple of months. My doorman had mentioned that someone had been asking about me. A friend had told me that Samantha had been asking her questions about my dating life. I had assumed Samantha was just curious, but apparently it was more serious than that. Rachel said the reason she was calling was that Samantha had been talking about confronting me in person. Samantha had apparently been planning to show up at my workplace or my apartment to force me to have a conversation with her. Rachel said she had tried to talk Samantha out of this idea, but that Samantha had become increasingly unstable and unpredictable. She said Samantha had been drinking heavily and had been staying out all night without explanation. The final straw for Rachel had been when she discovered that Samantha had been going through her personal belongings. Rachel had found Samantha looking through her phone and her laptop, apparently trying to find information about me. When Rachel confronted Samantha about this, Samantha had admitted that she had been trying to find my new girlfriend's contact information. Samantha had said she wanted to warn any woman I was dating about what kind of person I really was. Rachel said this had crossed a line for her. She said she had told Samantha that she needed to move out and that she couldn't continue to enable Samantha's obsessive behavior. I asked Rachel what she wanted me to do with this information. She said she wasn't asking me to do anything specific, but that she thought I should know what was happening so I could protect myself. Rachel also said that Samantha had been telling people a very different version of our breakup story. According to Samantha's version, I had been controlling and manipulative throughout our relationship. Samantha claimed that I had isolated her from her family and that I had been emotionally abusive. Samantha had apparently been telling people that the apartment incident was just an example of how I had tried to control her family relationships. She said I had used the situation as an excuse to break up with her because I wanted to date other people. Rachel said she had initially believed Samantha's story, but that as she got to know Samantha better, she had started to see inconsistencies. She said Samantha's behavior in their living situation had been manipulative and dishonest, which made her question everything Samantha had told her. I thanked Rachel for calling me and for the warning. I asked her if she thought Samantha was dangerous or if I should be worried about my safety. Rachel said she didn't think Samantha would physically hurt me, but that she was definitely not thinking clearly. She said Samantha seemed to believe that if she could just get me to talk to her, she could convince me to get back together. After talking to Rachel, I decided to take some precautions. I called my building's security company and asked them to add Samantha's name to a list of people who should not be allowed in the building. I also gave them a photo of Samantha so the doorman would recognize her. I contacted my HR department at work and explained the situation. They said they would alert security at my office building and that I should let them know if Samantha showed up at my workplace. I also reached out to a few close friends and family members to let them know what was happening. I asked them not to give Samantha any information about me if she contacted them. 2 weeks after Rachel's call, Samantha did show up at my apartment building. The doorman called me to let me know that someone matching Samantha's description had been asking about me and had tried to get into the building. I went downstairs to see what was happening. Samantha was standing outside the building looking upset and confused. When she saw me, she immediately started trying to explain why she was there. Samantha said she had been trying to reach me for weeks and that she needed to talk to me about important things. She said there had been misunderstandings between us that needed to be cleared up. I told Samantha that we had nothing to discuss and that she needed to leave. I said that if she continued to contact me or show up at my home or workplace, I would file for a restraining order. Samantha's reaction was immediate and intense. She started crying and saying that I was being cruel to her. She said she had been going through a difficult time and that I was abandoning her when she needed support. Samantha also said that she had been trying to change and that she had learned from her mistakes. She said she had been in counseling and that she understood now why our relationship had problems. I didn't engage with any of Samantha's arguments. I repeated that she needed to leave and that I would call the police if she didn't go immediately. Samantha eventually left, but not before making several comments about how I had changed and how I was not the person she had thought I was. She said I would regret treating her this way and that I would realize eventually that she was the best thing that had ever happened to me. I went back upstairs and called the police to report the incident. The officer who took the report said that while Samantha hadn't technically broken any laws, I could file for a protection order if she continued to contact me. I decided to go ahead and file for the protection order. The process was easier than I had expected. I filled out some forms explaining Samantha's behavior and provided documentation of her attempts to contact me. The court granted a temporary protection order and scheduled a hearing for 2 weeks later. Samantha was served with the papers at her job, according to the court records. Samantha did not appear at the hearing. The judge granted a permanent protection order that prohibits Samantha from contacting me in any way for the next 2 years. I haven't heard from Samantha since the protection order was issued. That was 6 weeks ago. Rachel texted me once to let me know that Samantha had moved out of their shared apartment and that she didn't know where Samantha was living now. Rachel said Samantha had been fired from her job around the same time she was served with the protection order papers. Apparently Samantha had been missing work frequently and had been having conflicts with her coworkers. Rachel also mentioned that Samantha's parents had contacted her looking for Samantha. They said Samantha had been asking them for money again and that when they refused, she had made some concerning statements about not having anywhere to go. I felt a little bad hearing this, but I also knew that Samantha's problems were not my responsibility to solve. She had made choices that led to this situation, and I couldn't help someone who had shown no willingness to take accountability for their actions. My life has gotten much calmer since the protection order was put in place. I no longer worry about Samantha showing up unexpectedly or trying to contact me through other people. The security measures I put in place have given me peace of mind. I've been in a relationship with someone new for about 3 months now. Her name is Emma, 29F, and she's completely different from Samantha. Emma is direct and honest in her communication. She respects boundaries and always asks before making decisions that might affect me. When I told Emma about what happened with Samantha, she was supportive but not overly dramatic about it. She said she appreciated that I had been honest with her about my past relationship and that she felt confident I would handle any future problems appropriately. Emma has met my brother Tom and some of my friends. Everyone likes her and has commented on how much more relaxed I seem compared to when I was with Samantha. I didn't realize how much stress I had been carrying from that relationship until it was gone. I still have the security camera in my apartment and I probably always will. I've learned to trust my instincts more and to pay attention to red flags in relationships. I'm also more careful about who I give my spare key to and more firm about maintaining boundaries. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I had handled the original apartment situation differently. Maybe if I had been less confrontational, Samantha and I could have worked things out. But then I remember all the lies she told and the way she manipulated everyone around her, and I know that the relationship was doomed regardless of how that specific incident played out. Samantha showed me who she really was during that crisis, and I'm grateful that I paid attention. It would have been much harder to extricate myself from her manipulation if we had been living together or if we had gotten engaged. I've learned that some people will always find ways to justify their bad behavior and will never take responsibility for the harm they cause others. Samantha was one of those people, and no amount of patience or understanding on my part would have changed that. The protection order expires in about 18 months. I hope that by then Samantha will have moved on with her life and will have found the help she needs. But if she hasn't, I'm prepared to renew the order or take whatever other steps are necessary to protect myself. For now, I'm focused on building a healthy relationship with Emma and on maintaining the boundaries I've learned to set. I'm grateful for the support I received from this community during the worst parts of this situation. Reading your responses helped me understand that I wasn't crazy or unreasonable, and that gave me the strength to stand up for myself when it mattered most. This experience taught me that sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone is to refuse to enable their destructive behavior. By staying firm in my boundaries, I forced Samantha to face the consequences of her actions. Whether she learns from those consequences is up to her, but at least I know I didn't contribute to the problem by allowing her to continue manipulating me. I consider this chapter of my life officially closed. Thank you to everyone who offered advice and support. I hope my story helps someone else who might be dealing with similar manipulation in their own relationships. Now let's move to the next story. Story 2. Stepmom tried to steal my inheritance by using my stepsister against me, but then we discovered she was legally married to another man the whole time. I never thought I would be writing this, but recent events have left me with no choice. I, 28F, come from a middle-class family in the suburbs of Chicago. My mom died in a car accident when I was 2, leaving my dad, 58M, to raise me alone. The accident happened on a rainy night when a drunk driver hit her car head-on. Dad never really talked about it much, but I know it broke him. Despite his grief, he worked hard as a real estate agent to give me a good life. Growing up, it was just Dad and me. He would take me to soccer practice, help with homework, and even learn to braid my hair by watching YouTube videos. We weren't rich, but Dad made sure I never felt like I was missing out. He built a successful real estate business from scratch, working long hours but always making time for our Sunday movie nights. Dad's family was very involved in my life during those early years. My Aunt Emma would watch me after school, and weekends were spent at my grandparents' house. We were a tight-knit family, always celebrating holidays and birthdays together. Dad dated occasionally but never seriously, saying his priority was raising me. Things changed drastically when I was 12. Dad met Amber, 45F, while showing her a house. She had recently divorced and moved to our area with her daughter Amy, 16F. Amber came across as sophisticated and charming. She worked in marketing and always dressed impeccably. Amy was quiet but seemed nice enough. Dad and Amber started dating, and it felt like a whirlwind romance. Within 6 months, they were married in a small ceremony. I was happy for Dad at first. He seemed to smile more, and Amber appeared to make him happy. She would cook elaborate meals and organize family outings. I even started to think maybe having a stepmom wouldn't be so bad. The problem started subtly. Amber convinced Dad we needed to move to a more upscale neighborhood to help his business image. She found a huge house in the most expensive part of town, saying it would be perfect for entertaining clients. Dad was hesitant because of the massive mortgage, but Amber insisted it was a good investment. After we moved, everything changed. Dad had to work longer hours to afford the mortgage payments. Amber redecorated the entire house, spending thousands on new furniture and artwork. When Dad expressed concern about the expenses, she would guilt him by saying he didn't want her to feel at home. Amber began commenting on how much attention Dad gave me. She would say things like she's not a baby anymore or you're babying her too much. If Dad and I watched a movie together, she would complain we were excluding her and Amy. She started planning weekend trips that coincidentally fell on my soccer game days, so Dad had to miss them. The isolation from family happened gradually. First, Amber would say she had already made other plans when Dad's siblings wanted to visit. Then she started complaining about how overwhelming family gatherings were. She convinced Dad to spend holidays at expensive resorts instead of with family, claiming we needed to create our own traditions. I watched helplessly as Dad's relationship with his family deteriorated. Aunt Emma would call, but Amber would say Dad was too busy to talk. Family dinner invitations were declined because Amber always had some excuse. Eventually, the invitations stopped coming. When I turned 18, I moved away for college to study psychology. Dad helped with tuition despite Amber's vocal protests. She argued that since Amy would need college money too, I should take loans. She would make snide comments about my expensive education and how psychology wasn't a real career. During college, my visits home became less frequent. Amber would make me feel unwelcome in subtle ways. She would forget to set a place for me at dinner or make comments about how messy my old room was. If Dad bought me anything, she would mention how he never spent that much on Amy. Last year, everything fell apart when Dad was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. I immediately took a leave from my job and moved back home to help care for him. Amber seemed annoyed by my presence, constantly telling Dad that she could handle everything. She would try to schedule his doctor appointments when I was out and forget to tell me about them. I noticed Amber spent a lot of time on her phone, often leaving the room to take calls. She claimed they were work-related, but something felt off. She would get defensive if Dad asked about the calls and started password protecting her phone. One evening, when Amber was at a work dinner, Dad confided in me. He was worried about Amber's behavior and suspected she was having an affair. He had seen suspicious texts on her phone when she left it unlocked. He also revealed that Amber had been pressuring him to change his will, wanting a larger share for herself and Amy. She argued that since they had been married for 16 years, she deserved most of the estate. Dad passed away 3 months ago. The will reading was yesterday, and Amber's true colors came out. Dad had left 70% of his estate to me, including the house and his business shares. He left 20% to his siblings and only 10% to Amber and Amy. Amber exploded, screaming that the will was invalid and that Dad wasn't in his right mind. What Amber doesn't know is that Dad had recorded videos before his death, explaining his decisions. He expressed concern about Amber's behavior and said he wanted to protect me and his family's inheritance. He had suspected something was wrong but was too weak to investigate. Now Amber and Amy refuse to leave the house. They've changed the locks on some doors and claim it's their home too. Amber's been calling Dad's siblings, telling them I manipulated Dad during his illness to steal their inheritance. Some relatives are believing her, especially since she's been part of the family for so long. Amber's also been contacting Dad's business associates, spreading rumors that I forced him to change the will. Some clients have pulled their listings, affecting the business. I've had to hire a lawyer to handle this mess. I know I'm right to stand my ground, but seeing Amber twist everything makes me angry. My Aunt Emma thinks I should give Amber a larger share to keep the peace, but that would mean betraying Dad's final wishes. I need advice on how to handle this situation without letting Amber manipulate everyone further. Update 1: These past 2 weeks have been absolute chaos, but what happened yesterday changed everything. I need to share how this whole situation exploded in ways no one could have predicted. After my last post, Amber escalated things by filing a lawsuit challenging Dad's will. Her lawyer sent aggressive letters claiming Dad wasn't mentally competent when he made the will. She even got some of Dad's old business partners to sign affidavits saying they noticed him acting confused in his final months. My lawyer assured me these claims were weak, but dealing with the legal pressure was stressful. Amber continued living in the house, taking over the master bedroom and moving my dad's things to the garage without my permission. She told neighbors I was trying to make her and Amy homeless, painting herself as the grieving widow being persecuted by her cruel stepdaughter. Some neighbors started giving me dirty looks and one even left a nasty note on my car. But everything changed when I received an unexpected call from my lawyer last Thursday. A man named Michael Bennett had contacted his office with information about Amber. What he revealed left everyone stunned. Amber was legally married to him in Nevada while she was married to my dad. Michael discovered Amber's double life when he found papers about my dad's estate in their shared home office. He had no idea Amber was married to my dad and was shocked to learn about her deception. According to Michael, Amber had been living a completely separate life with him and their 15-year-old son Tommy for the past 12 years. Amber would tell Dad she was visiting her sick mother in Nevada every few weeks. In reality, she was going to her other home with Michael and Tommy. She had maintained this deception for over a decade, carefully scheduling her time between both families. She even had separate phones and email accounts to keep her lives separate. When my lawyer met with Michael, he brought years of evidence, marriage certificate, joint tax returns, family photos, everything. The most shocking part was learning that Amber had met Michael just months after marrying my dad. She had planned and executed this deception from almost the beginning of her marriage to my dad. The revelations kept coming. Michael shared security camera footage from their Nevada home showing Amber there during times she told my dad she was on business trips. There were birthday party videos, holiday celebrations, and family vacations, all while she was supposedly working or caring for her sick mother. Amy was devastated when she learned the truth. She showed up at my apartment yesterday, crying and telling me everything. Amber had manipulated her throughout my dad's illness, promising her a large inheritance if she supported the challenge to the will. Amber had convinced Amy that Dad was playing favorites by leaving me more money, using Amy's insecurities about being a stepdaughter to turn her against me. Amy revealed that Amber had coached her on what to say to the lawyer and family members. She was supposed to claim she heard Dad and me having arguments about the will, even though those conversations never happened. Amber had even written a script for Amy to follow when talking to Dad's siblings. Speaking of Dad's siblings, they're mortified. Aunt Emma called me sobbing, apologizing for doubting me. She shared stories of how Amber had systematically driven wedges between Dad and his family over the years. Amber would tell Dad that his siblings were jealous of his success, while telling the siblings that Dad was too busy for them. She played both sides perfectly, ensuring the family grew apart. The most disturbing discovery was the financial aspect. My lawyer found evidence that Amber had been transferring money from Dad's accounts to her life with Michael throughout the marriage. She set up fake vendor accounts through Dad's real estate business, making it look like legitimate business expenses. Over 16 years, she had stolen nearly $200,000 this way. Michael immediately filed for divorce after learning about Amber's deception. He's working with my lawyer, providing all financial records showing how Amber moved money between her two lives. The police are now involved, investigating Amber for potential fraud and bigamy charges. Amy has moved in with her biological father, unable to face her mother's lies anymore. She wrote me a long letter apologizing for her role in everything, explaining how Amber had used her need for maternal approval to manipulate her. She included text messages from Amber showing how she had orchestrated the whole inheritance scheme. Amber's reaction to being exposed was both predictable and shocking. She tried to claim Michael was lying, then switched to saying she had divorced him years ago but lost the paperwork. When that didn't work, she tried to blame my dad, claiming he knew about Michael and had agreed to an arrangement. Nobody's buying her stories anymore. The lawsuit challenging Dad's will has been withdrawn by Amber's lawyer, who quit representing her after learning about the bigamy. She's now trying to find new lawyers, but none want to touch her case. She's still in the house but hasn't been seen outside in days. My lawyer is working on having her removed legally. I'm still processing everything. Finding out that the woman who spent 16 years as my stepmom was living a complete double life is overwhelming. Dad never knew the truth about who he was really married to, and that breaks my heart. But at least now everyone knows what kind of person Amber really is. My lawyer says this revelation changes everything legally. Not only will Amber's challenge to the will fail, but she'll likely face criminal charges. He's already working on getting her portion of the inheritance revoked since her marriage to Dad wasn't legally valid. I'll update again when there are more developments. Right now, I'm focusing on working with my lawyer to get Amber out of the house and helping Amy deal with this nightmare. The police want to interview me next week about the financial fraud, so that should bring more information to light. Update 2: What happened in the last few weeks has made Amber's double marriage seem almost tame in comparison. My lawyer's investigation into Amber's past uncovered a pattern of behavior that shocked everyone, including her other husband Michael. After the bigamy discovery, my lawyer hired a private investigator to look into Amber's background. What they found was disturbing. Amber had done this before, not once but twice. She had targeted wealthy men, married them, and tried to gain control of their assets while maintaining relationships with other men. The PI found her first victim, Robert Carson, in Florida. She married him in 2001 when she was just starting her con career. She followed the same pattern, isolated him from family, pushed for expensive purchases, and tried to change his will. She even used the sick mother excuse back then to cover her absences. Robert's sister reached out to me, saying Amber had nearly destroyed their family before disappearing in 2004 with a large portion of Robert's savings. The second victim was James Wilson from Texas. She married him in 2005, just months after leaving Robert. With James, she refined her technique. She managed to convince him to sign over his beach house to her before he discovered she was still legally married to Robert. When James confronted her, she vanished, taking expensive jewelry and his car with her. Both Robert and James came forward with documentation proving Amber's fraud. James even had security footage from 2005 showing Amber breaking into his house after he discovered her lies. She was trying to steal documents that could prove her fraud. This evidence helped us get an emergency restraining order against her, as my lawyer worried she might try to break into Dad's house to destroy evidence. The investigation also revealed that Amber had changed her name multiple times. She was born Susan Reynolds, then became Amber Carson, then Amber Wilson, and finally Amber Bennett/Marshall, using both Michael's and my dad's surnames. She had driver's licenses and credit cards under various combinations of these names. What's really disturbing is how calculated everything was. The PI found Amber's old laptop in the garage, and the browser history showed she had researched Dad's finances and business long before meeting him. She had deliberately gotten a job with one of Dad's business associates to engineer their chance meeting. Everything about their relationship had been planned. Amber's current life completely fell apart once these revelations came out. Her marketing firm fired her after learning about the fraud investigations. Her friends, who she'd manipulated with stories about me being a cruel stepdaughter, now know the truth. Even her country club membership was revoked, which apparently bothered her more than the criminal investigation. Amy came by yesterday with more revelations. She found old journals in their storage unit that detailed Amber's plans. There were lists of potential targets, wealthy men, notes about their finances, and strategies for isolating them from family. Dad's name was on a list from 2006, years before she met him. Amy was horrified to discover that her mother had planned everything, including using her to gain Dad's trust. The police investigation expanded to include all of Amber's previous frauds. They found offshore accounts where she had hidden money stolen from her various husbands. She had nearly $500,000 stashed away from her various schemes. Michael has been cooperative throughout this process. He's as devastated as anyone, having believed he was in an exclusive marriage with Amber for 12 years. Their son Tommy is struggling to understand why his mother lived a double life. Michael's lawyer is working with mine to trace all the stolen money. Amber's response to these discoveries was unexpected. Instead of running, she's trying to claim she has a mental disorder that causes her to create multiple lives. No one's buying it, especially since her journals show careful planning and calculations. She's trying to gather sympathy from anyone who will listen, but her reputation in the community is destroyed. Yesterday, the police found evidence that Amber had been planning her next target even before Dad got sick. She had already created a dating profile and was researching another wealthy businessman in a nearby city. She actually had spreadsheets comparing potential victims based on their net worth and vulnerability to manipulation. I'm still processing all this information. The woman who lived with us for 16 years, who I tried to accept as family, was nothing but a calculating fraudster. She played everyone, including her own daughter and the son she had with Michael. The depth of her deception is almost unbelievable. The criminal investigation is ongoing, and my lawyer says there will likely be multiple charges across several states. For now, Amber has finally moved out of the house, though only after the police threatened to arrest her for trespassing. I'm changing all the locks and installing security cameras, just in case. I'll update again when there are more developments, especially after the criminal charges are filed. Right now, I'm focusing on helping Amy and working with the investigators to piece together the full extent of Amber's deceptions. Update 3: The final chapter of this nightmare has finally been written. Amber's house of cards came crashing down in the most satisfying way possible. After months of investigation, Amber was arrested and charged with multiple felonies across 3 states. The charges included fraud, bigamy, grand theft, and identity theft. The evidence against her was overwhelming. The prosecutors had her detailed journals, financial records, and testimony from all 3 husbands, Dad's videos, Michael's evidence, and statements from her previous victims. Amber tried to play the mental illness card in court, bringing in a psychiatrist who claimed she suffered from a personality disorder. The judge wasn't convinced, especially after the prosecution showed her methodical planning through her journal entries and spreadsheets. The final nail in her coffin was the evidence that she had already been researching her next victim while Dad was sick. She ended up pleading guilty to avoid a longer sentence but still got 15 years in prison. The judge was particularly harsh, citing her exploitation of terminally ill Dad and the psychological damage she caused to Amy and Tommy. She's also been ordered to repay over $800,000 to her victims' families, including the money she stole from Dad's accounts. Amy has been in intensive therapy, dealing with the trauma of discovering her entire childhood was built on lies. She found out that Amber had manipulated her biological father during their divorce, using similar tactics to isolate Amy from him. She's rebuilding her relationship with her dad now and is starting to heal. While I sympathize with her situation, I've maintained minimal contact to avoid getting pulled back into any drama. Michael and Tommy moved back to Nevada. Tommy is also in therapy, struggling to understand how his mother could lead such an elaborate double life. Michael has been cooperative throughout the legal proceedings, helping to trace all the money Amber had hidden in various accounts. The most unexpected development was the response from the real estate community. After Amber's sentencing, several of Dad's old clients came forward with stories about how she had tried to manipulate them into making risky investments through Dad's business. She had apparently been running smaller scams alongside her marriage fraud, using Dad's reputation to gain people's trust. Dad's siblings and I have completely rebuilt our relationship. We now understand how Amber systematically destroyed our family bonds with her lies and manipulation. We have monthly family dinners, something Amber had prevented for years. My Aunt Emma helped me renovate Dad's house, which I've decided to keep. We turned Amber's home office into a memory room for Dad, displaying his awards and family photos that Amber had hidden in the garage. I've started working with a fraud awareness organization that helps protect elderly people from scammers like Amber. We use Dad's story, with details changed, to show how these predators operate. I've also connected with Robert and James's families, and we're working together to help other victims of marriage fraud. The karma didn't stop with Amber's imprisonment. Her cellmate turned out to be someone she had scammed in her earlier cons, a former friend whose identity she had stolen. The prison guards say Amber requested solitary confinement within a week. Looking back, I realized Dad must have suspected something wasn't right with Amber, which is why he left the estate mostly to me and his siblings. He tried to protect us even when he couldn't prove what Amber was doing. The videos he recorded during his illness show he knew something was wrong but couldn't piece it all together. I'm finally at peace with everything that happened. Amber's betrayal of our family was complete and calculated, but in the end, justice prevailed. I'm focusing on honoring Dad's memory and helping prevent others from falling victim to people like Amber. The house feels like a home again, filled with family and genuine love, everything Amber tried to destroy but ultimately failed to take away from us.